You're listening to Homeschool Unrefined. I'm Maren.
And I'm Angela. Let's encourage each other, laugh, and get real about homeschool. Welcome to the podcast where we keep homeschool simple, real, and fun. You've got episode 67, where we have all the feels about screens.
Yes, we want to thank you so much for listening. We so appreciate all of the people following our Instagram accounts, and we especially love people who message us because we'd love to get to know you.
Yes, we
do. So if you haven't done that yet, you should.
Yep, that would be awesome.
We want to hear from you, yeah. And if you have any great ideas for the show or you have any questions you want us to talk about, we love those ideas too.
Yep.
So, and if you love the show, we would love it if you could give us a review on iTunes. It's not super simple. So go to our Instagram page and there is, a highlighted story where Angela kind of walks you through how to do that.
Yep. Yeah. And so I wanted to let everybody know that we are on iHeartRadio.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep. I don't use iHeartRadio, but I think some of you do. I've had a few people ask.
Yep.
So we are on that. We're also on Spotify. I know a few of you are listening there, but that's fairly new. So I just wanted to let you know if you're already using either of those two platforms, you can just listen to us there. We are also on Twitter. I know that we've already mentioned that before, and we're still figuring it out. But I wanted to give a little shout out to Sarah and Nature on Twitter because Sarah, you tweeted at us, or you. Well, that's not the right word.
Nope.
She
Close.
replied to our tweet.
Yeah.
And I got an email notification. And I was like,
because we still have
what do I do? I got a reply, but I didn't know how. So I was like, it's sink or swim. I got to learn this.
Angela boxed me 10 minutes after the reply. And she said, what do we do?
No, I think
we got to figure this out, Maren.
I think I texted you and I was like, Maren, you have to reply to that tweet. Go ahead. Because you said you were going to figure it out. And you were like, actually, she kind of tweeted at you. So maybe you should figure that out.
You're going to have to do
it. Oh, yeah. Okay. It was actually really easy. It was really straightforward.
Yeah.
So thank you, Sarah, for helping us to figure that out. If that's your thing, you can follow us there. Right now, we're dipping our toes in. We haven't done anything crazy or new on there.
No, that's okay.
That's okay. Yep.
One thing at a time.
Yep. Yeah. And so, Maren, since we're in our 40s.
Yes.
No, low 40s.
Very early 40s.
I feel like I need to ask you, how's your health?
No. So
that's what you talk about. That's what you talk about now.
Not too bad, Angela. Thank you for asking. Actually, this week I just got some test results back. So I've been dealing with some neck pain for a long time and just other things. I mean, a lot of it has just been centered around my neck and back, though. I was after a car accident, and then I also have a thyroid issue. Haven't really totally figured that out yet, but I decided I need to start with my own, health and nutrition because I've tried a lot of other things. I've tried to let other people take care of it. It's not working. So I think I need to start with my own health. So I'm doing these blood tests. Came back this week that I have a very, very high intolerance to gluten.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of off the charts. Like my doctor said, you just have to you have to start right now avoiding gluten at all costs. Basically.
Yep. Yeah.
It's working against you so much, and it's very inflammatory, which can cause so much of even just the pain that I have. So anyway, it was
that's
not,
no good. That's not
I'll
good
tell
news.
you what. Yeah, not the news I wanted to hear, but it also felt like, oh, this is the path I need to be on. Yep.
And your personality, I will just venture, because you've told me, is you need a doctor to tell you, or you need, right?
Yeah. Well, I've done several Whole30s over the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. And the first one, I did a really good job. I mean, for a long time, you and I did it, and our husbands did it with us too, I think. And I did that for a good, probably 6 months.
Yep.
Easily. And then, since then I've done a couple more, but modified them, and I keep modifying them even more because I wanna.
Yeah. And you're a rebel.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. So, yeah, it's good for me just to be told what I need to do,
Yeah.
and it's okay. Like, I think maybe I'll break the rule because I am a rebel sometimes, but I also know that that's where the fence is now. That's that's the boundary now. Whereas before I didn't have a boundary at all. I didn't know where the boundary was, so it's kind of good for me to see, just to know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe
So-
you'll start feeling better, or you'll notice your
Yeah.
inflammation going down.
Yes, and that would help. That would be more motivating
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So how about you? I know you are also eating a pretty
Yeah.
restricted diet right now.
Yeah, I am. I took myself off a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
because I had I'm still laughing that we're talking about our health.
Well,
You know, I had some dizziness, which I think I told you all about. And I've had it for a couple of years and I could not figure out what was going wrong. And in November, I just decided I'm going off anything inflammatory. And I have a sister who is, shout out to my sister because I know she listens.
Mhm.
She's very good at researching and very good at knowing her body and what her body needs. So I just thought, I'm just going to have her tell me what I should just not do.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what she does because she's already done all the research and it's working for her.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of the similar issues. So
She's an Enneagram 5. So you can trust, I feel like you can really trust Enneagram 5s.
you can.
They know what they're talking about.
They do. She knows what she's talking about. So, and we have the same genetics. So I was like, well, I'm just going to do that. And so I'm not doing gluten and dairy and eggs and sugar and chocolate and caffeine and alcohol and I can't think of what else.
Wow. Yeah, so that sounds like what I'm going to have to do for 30 days. I have to do all of that.
All those for 30 days?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah. Just to
but
restart.
once I did that in November, I started that and I started acupuncture at the same time because I was just throwing everything at it. But one of those two really helped. Maybe it was both. It was probably the combination of both.
Well, maybe a combination.
I know. And so I've been feeling so much better since November. And so I'm afraid to go off that diet and just stop doing acupuncture.
Right. Are there things you can just put one thing back in at a time and see how is this feeling?
Probably.
But
I'm just
maybe
not
you don't
ready
want
to right now.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. So I hope you start to feel better or notice things because then it's more motivating to keep eating them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I told my doctor, I don't notice any effects from gluten, but that's because I've always been eating it. I mean, or, I've gone off it for a while, during those whole 30 times or whatever, but maybe not long enough to really, I don't know.
Well, and maybe it was before.
It was
before all this happened.
Right, exactly.
So.
Yep, and I've had it explained to me before. I know you have too. When our bodies are younger, we just have a lot of reserves. And other parts of our body can just take over and be like, okay, well, you're not taking care of your own body, so I'm just going to do this for you. But as you get older, those reserves are like, I don't have any more. I can't help anymore.
Yeah, you can't just bounce back easily. All right, so today we are having a conversation about screens and screen time, and we got this idea because, well, a few different ways, but I remember us just having this conversation, just the two of us.
Yes.
About how hard it is as parents to make decisions about screen time.
Absolutely.
And we were talking about it for a while, and then I was like, we have got to talk about this on the podcast because everybody is going through the same thing.
Yes, and I think we may have started talking about it on one of our Facebook lives with our group, I think. And I remember thinking this is such a bigger conversation than what we can even just have right here and now, and it's going to be a bigger conversation than we can have on this podcast today too.
Yep.
Because it's not a definitive screens are good, screens are bad, or even it's not even black and white. We can't even just say screens are good for these things and bad for these things. We can't say that.
Right. Yeah, it is such a nuanced thing, and within all the different types of screens and all the different types of ways that you can use them. And then every family is different. Every child is different. And so it is such a tough thing that we're navigating. And so we need to give ourselves credit, like we've talked about before,
Yes.
for all the hard work that we are doing when we think about this every day.
Yes. I think sometimes I think about how back in the Laura Ingalls Wilder days, when those people, those parents, were working so hard, physically especially. They were working so hard. And I think, oh my gosh, I feel so lazy. I don't do any of that stuff. But I also feel in our generation, our work is often just like is making decisions.
Yeah.
A lot of our work is just brain work, like thinking about things, contemplating and deciding things.
Yep.
There's so much out there.
So much going on.
So much. And with technology, the choices are infinite now.
Yep.
And so that can cause a level of stress that
Totally.
many generations before us have never had.
Right. Yeah. So we are the first generation to have to deal with this problem or this issue or this.
Right.
It's not, I don't even want to say problem, opportunity. We're the first generation to get to deal with this.
Yeah.
And because there's no precedent set for what works for kids and what doesn't work for kids or for families, it's really hard to try and figure that out. I know our parents were probably the first generation to have to deal with TV and like, you know, having your kids watch a lot of TV. But I feel like that was probably really hard for them. I feel like this issue is so wide and varied. There's just so much complexity to it that it is just so difficult. And then you have lots of experts who give you advice on what you should and shouldn't do. And so then you feel all the things about that too. Like, well, this person says this and then this person says this and I should be doing this or I shouldn't be doing this. And there's lots of guilt every day.
Right, exactly.
For
or
what
not
you're
even
doing.
just experts, but like your friend, your best friend is doing it this way. And then this other parent who's like this veteran homeschooler does it this way. And then this, everybody is in a different situation and they all have these very strong views sometimes. And I think it also, has to do with their spouse and their upbringing. And many people have very strong views about it. And it's very hard, I think, to not take on someone else's views on that, especially somebody you really respect and want to emulate in so many other ways.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. So I think we as a generation are going to screw this up. We are going to screw this up. This is our first chance to figure this out. And I think things are gonna, we are obviously we're working, I think we're also doing a great job with what we have.
Yep.
And I think a couple generations from now, they're going to look back and say, oh my goodness, in some way.
Right.
Or
your kids are going to grow up and be a little upset because you didn't let them do this or you let them do this other thing or whatever it was too early or you waited too long or whatever. And I understand that. I just also feel like you have to give yourselves credit. You are doing the best you can. You are working so hard at figuring this out every day.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the older my kids get, the more I realize what a hard decision, all the hard decisions my parents did have.
Right.
And how I used to really judge them for that. And as my kids get into those ages, I just think, oh my gosh, this is not as clear cut as I always thought it was.
No. So I think one thing that makes this so challenging is that when thinking about screen time, there is such a wide variety of things that you or your child could be doing on a screen. You could be watching a movie as a family, or you could be watching an educational documentary. You could be on an iPad doing some sort of math app. You could be listening to music. You could be making a movie together. You could be mindlessly scrolling through random internet.
Right. And that's the difference between our generation when we were kids compared to this generation of kids is we had we had television, maybe cable, maybe not, and then maybe video games on the television. But that's about it.
Right.
That was about it.
Right.
And we had, I think when we were kids, we had computers with no internet.
Yeah, I
There
think
were
when I
like
was in high
computers
school,
yeah.
maybe junior high, we got one.
Yeah. I think I got my first email address my first year of college.
Yeah, me too.
And then it was just, you had to go to this computer lab and do email
Mm-hmm.
for a little while.
Yeah.
Do email. And so
Yeah.
it was once a day or something.
Yeah.
So that has changed so much. That has been such a huge change for
Right.
our generation.
Right. And so I feel like when you're making decisions about should you allow screen time or not, there are so many factors to consider. Are you talking about a violent video game, or are you talking about, them, doing their hobby? Maybe they're doing like some sort of art app or something. I mean, I just feel like
that's so true.
You can't just say this is all good or it's all bad. Or I allowed this much time, or I give unlimited time.
Right.
Because
I loved when Peter Gray talked in that podcast that what was your loving this week a couple weeks ago?
Yep.
The School Sucks podcast.
Yep.
Peter Gray has like a 3-part interview.
Yep.
And a 3-episode interview. And in one of those, he talks about how our children gravitate towards screens and technology because that is the tool of our generation.
Yep.
So it's not just because they are trying to be lazy and try to get out of work.
Yeah.
They see production happening. They see people being productive and working very hard on their computers and their phones and things like that. And there is something in them that knows, I got to know this. I need to know this.
Right. He says that kids need a lot of practice with the tools of our culture. The main tools of whatever culture it is. So whatever generation and whatever time in history, kids need a lot of practice with that. And he said the main tool of our culture is the computer. It just is. And kids know that that's the thing that they need lots of practice on.
Now, this has changed. I think my outlook on this has even changed in the last, few years. I remember when we were, both of our kids, all of our kids were we were part-time homeschooling, and they were part-time going to this other school. It's a Montessori school. So it's 3 days a week. And they were, they're like not into technology at all, which I actually really, really liked. And I still do. I think that's great because there's so many other things to learn besides being on screens, and you can do that at home.
Yeah.
And I loved that about that school. And I think the difference though is at that point when I was making the decision to send my kids there, I thought that's what schools have to do. And I don't think that anymore.
Okay. What do you think now?
Well, I think like, like Peter Gray says, I think it's great that kids are learning on technology. I don't think they should be on technology all day. And I don't think there should be like a school where there's like no technology. I don't know. I mean, I think it's fine to have a school with no technology. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying I don't think it has to be like that anymore.
Right.
I don't think that that's the ideal anymore necessarily to live up to. I think, having iPads in schools or whatever, because we use iPads in our homeschool daily and computers. And I am very thankful for that.
Right. Right. It is efficient in some ways.
Right. And I have noticed, I know I'm going to have kids who that's like their tool, of their, I know why Peter Gray said this is the tool of our generation. I see it in my kids. This is kind of like their native language.
Yeah.
And they feel most comfortable working on those tools. And it's not because I, did anything to teach them or push them into that. That's just where they landed.
Right. I think it's hard though. You don't want to be, I don't know. I think you have to know your own child too, because I have a child who gets really grouchy on screens with too many screens.
Right.
Too much screen time.
Yes. Me too. Actually.
You personally, or you have a child?
No, I have a child. I have a child like that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember when my son was like a toddler, he would want to watch cartoons every morning. And, I would be like, okay, well, we can watch one. or something. And then he would get so mad if we had to turn it off.
Mhm.
And so then it just kind of escalated every single day, where it was kind of there was this tension about just watching like a PBS cartoon.
Yeah.
And so I had to completely like pull back and say, we are not doing
Right.
any TV, because he cannot
Right,
handle
right.
even a little bit. And he gets really mad if he has to stop. So we
Right.
couldn't even do a little bit, which like, it was a kind of against my philosophy, because I don't want to be all or nothing, you know.
Yeah,
I don't want to be
right,
like, no, we're
right.
not doing any TV, you know. But I knew for that time that when my son was little, that is what we had to do. And then he's grown out of that. He doesn't, you know, obviously he's 9 now. He doesn't get angry about TV,
Yeah.
but I felt like it was the right thing to do at the time. So when I hear somebody say that our kids should have unlimited access to technology
Mhm.
or screens, and they will learn to self-regulate, I theoretically understand that perspective.
Mhm.
But I also know my own kids, and I know
Right.
my own self. I get grouchy when I'm on too much screens.
Absolutely.
And so I
Yeah.
don't want that for them either. And I know then it takes away time from
Right,
other
right.
great activities that you could be doing.
Yeah, and it takes away from physical activities, which
Oh, yeah.
our culture is in great need of physical activities. We
Right.
we need to do that more. I remember when I was a teacher, and some parents said, "Well, my kid is getting learning a lot of eye hand coordination from his video games,"
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. You can do that like
You
playing
could play
basketball.
basketball. Yeah. He's like, you can play basketball or do something else. So you're right. I don't think we can expect everything from screens. We can't get everything we need, for our brain
Yeah. No.
from screens. We can't do
No.
that. We cannot.
No.
And also, I really believe all technology really needs to be working for us
Mhm.
rather than us working for the technology.
Right.
So, for example, if there's this constant fight with your toddler about screen time every single day,
Yeah.
it's like not working for you.
Right.
So there's probably something, for every family in a very personal way, and that is good for your family.
Yeah.
So I think it's real hard to make a decision about what's right and wrong
Right.
for everybody. Blanket statement.
Right. We are fans of simplicity parenting.
Yes.
We did a whole series on them, on that book, probably a year. It's been almost a year now. So you can go back and listen
Yeah.
to that if you want. But the author of that is Kim John Payne. And in his book, he recommends no screens.
Yep.
And his book was written, I don't even know. I'm just going to guess 15 years ago or 10 to
Yeah.
15 years ago.
I would
we'll
say,
just say.
yep. Mhm.
And so I feel like I have felt like that information is a bit outdated. And so I wanted to look up what he thinks of that now. And there's a little
Yeah.
bit on the internet. There's not much. But one thing he said that he did say that I saw a few different places was that he's not necessarily anti-screen, but he's more pro-connection. And what kinds of connections are you making with your kids and your family? And I
Mhm.
thought that was so good.
So good.
Because I think a lot of times too many screens can cause us to not have strong connections, because we can all be in our little separate worlds doing our own thing and not connecting with each other.
Right.
And so I think for me, that is a good question to ask myself. Like, is this good because this person needs some time alone, or this person is working through something? Is it good, or is it just causing our family to feel disconnected? And
Yes.
anything can
That's
do
so
that.
good.
Anything can do that. I mean, so give the example then, like you're watching a movie together as a family. Is that causing connection or disconnection? Well, that's causing connection. So then I think
sometimes. Most of the time, sure.
Yeah. Well, okay. So like for
Yeah.
us, usually that causes connection. So
Yeah.
then I think that's a good thing.
Sure.
But if whatever you're doing is not facilitating that connection, then I think you need to think about it.
Okay, so you know what is causing us discord right now sometimes is
What?
choosing a movie.
Oh gosh.
And I think that's because everybody, because in our culture we have screens and everybody has a device or whatever. They are often used to choosing.
They're used to getting what they want right away.
Right. Like there's Netflix on my phone and an iPad. And so sometimes kids get to just pick what they want and there's no discussion about it, right?
Know.
It's just them watching something. And so when it's Friday night and it's movie night and we can't pick a movie because everybody has their own idea and they are just in shock that they can't get what they want. It's like, wow.
I know.
And now that doesn't mean the family movie night needs to go away. It probably means we need to have more discussions around this whole reason for doing things and why are we doing this? And I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Totally. And so sometimes I have kids who are like, okay, if we're going to watch this movie, then I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
Do something else. And I'm like, no, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is to be together and enjoy this together. So.
Right. You are right. I on the one hand, I love that we can pick whatever we want to watch or whatever music we want to listen to at any time. And on the other hand, I just hate it.
Right.
Because it does cause discord in our house, especially with music.
Yeah.
I mean, kids are like, somebody's playing a song and then somebody's mad that song is playing.
Yeah.
Inevitably. Not everybody likes the same song at the same time. And so there's just always a problem.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I haven't figured out what to do about that. So
yeah. So I think these are the challenges of our generation, that cause us to we're using energy in this kind of way, solving these problems and trying to figure it out. So I don't have an answer to that. And if anybody does, I would love to hear it.
Oh yeah. Or a system that works.
A system.
I mean, we've talked about you have one day and it's your day to pick all the music, but I don't want to do that either.
Oh yeah. I know. All day. Listening to that obnoxious
Michael
song
all day.
The poop song or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
No.
So then I want to be like, actually, we're just going to always listen to my music. Okay?
You know what? And my husband always says when things get a little out of hand, he's like, this is not a democracy.
Oh,
this is not a democracy.
Yeah.
We're in charge here. I mean, and I think kids need to understand and feel that they're not in charge. When kids feel like they have to be in charge, or when they want to be in charge, feeling like understanding there's somebody else making the final decision is a safety thing for them. It's good, even if they don't like it.
Right. So going back to the connection thing, I just want to say that there can even be really good things that you're using technology or screens for that can cause disconnection, and you have to make that decision. It's not always a bad thing. So for example, my kids all have little iPod Nanos. They just play stuff. There's no no
Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi on it. Yeah, so no apps. And they love listening to audiobooks. And so a couple years ago when they really got into Harry Potter, this kind of got out of control. I had 3 kids with their 3 different headphones in, all in a different part in the Harry Potter series, all listening to their own thing because they don't want to, they don't want to all listen together because then it's not going fast enough for them.
Right.
And then so they're just walking around the house with their headphones on. And part of me was like, oh, wow. When it started, this is great. They're listening to all these audiobooks. This is awesome. I'm going to keep this going. But then when it gets to 5-6 hours a day, when they're walking around all day long listening.
Yeah.
And we're not together. We're not talking. And then you try and get somebody's attention and they don't hear you. And I just thought, even though this is good, they're listening to audiobooks. It's not connecting us at all. And in fact, I'm getting frustrated because you can't hear me. So something needs to stop.
Yes. Yep. That's so good. Because it does. I mean, even when parents hear that, they might be like, oh my gosh, I would kill for that. That is so awesome.
I was reveling in it too. I was like, wow, I got all this time to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Because they're just, this is awesome. But then I realized it just was not healthy after a while.
Right. I agree with you on that. And it kind of goes along with some of the apps that we have on our iPads because, my oldest is very, very tech savvy.
Yep.
And she is really at her most comfortable working on a computer. It's just her favorite. I can just tell. She just loves it. And one thing she does a lot is photo editing.
Yeah.
And she's so good at it. And it's an art for her. And she's loving it. And so there's just this balance because between, required work during the day, she edits photos, which is awesome.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. And so I think we have to be careful about, thinking, oh my goodness, my kid is on the iPad again.
Yeah.
But when I see those edited photos, I am just amazed. And I just think, I cannot think like that.
Right.
About
she's doing her
what
craft.
She's doing her craft,
her
happens
thing.
to be on a screen, but then the screen, this technology is helping her do it,
Right.
and there's all these tools and different things a person could be photo editing all day and learning about all the photo editing tools, right?
Right.
So she could be doing that all day. So, and it's kind of the same thing though. There is a time where I'm like, even though this is such a good thing, it's such a good thing for her, she has to stop. Like I need to see her interacting with other people right now.
Yeah.
I need that to happen for her during the day.
Right.
So, and I need to interact with her, and she needs to get in a fight with her siblings or something.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we have to live life outside of that too.
Right. So. And so I can see why that would be tricky. And I know you've like gone back and forth about that in your head. Like, should I let her do this or shouldn't I? And I think for me as an outsider, it's easy for me to say, oh, obviously let her do it. That's her thing. But when it's your child and you are seeing how much she's doing it, it's really hard because, I mean, like, why is photo editing different from if she were knitting or something?
Yeah.
Like, would you be as concerned if she were knitting or something like that? Or like,
I might be if it's like that long and she's
doing that much. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because that's how you get great at something is by doing it
so
a lot
much and working deep,
going deep, and
going
you do not want to. You don't want to cut off that flow. The flow state of learning is so key, and that's why we homeschool. So
right. Oh, it's so hard. That brings me into thinking about limits and boundaries, and I feel like you were saying with your daughter, you don't want to let her do this all day long because then she needs to interact with people. So at some point you have to set some boundaries and some limits. Right. And I'm just curious, Maren, what kind of limits are you setting for your kids regarding screens?
Well, so we do about an hour of just free time on screens a day.
Okay.
And that can be, sometimes that gets more than 1 hour. I mean, just full disclosure, because if I'm doing something for the podcast, I'm doing some work or something and I need more time.
Yeah.
Or I'm at
an
appointment or something. Yes. Yep. And so that's just the way that's just life for us right now. Ideally, it would be 1 hour a day.
Yep.
And that's free time. And so they can watch a show that they like. They can play Minecraft or whatever. And I have to keep telling myself, actually, those things aren't even the worst things for them to be doing. No. And I just think an hour a day is okay. I'm really okay with that. Because it's, it's their choice. So anyway, besides that, we do learning on the iPad, and during those times I like to be around while they're doing it. So it has to be like at the dining room table or in the living room where I can see it, because it's so easy to be tempted. And I don't even think this is the kids' fault, really, our kids' fault. Although they can learn, it's so easy to be tempted to open up a different app.
Right.
And we don't have a good program right now that we don't have like a good filter that does not allow them to use the apps they can't use, So anyway, so we do use apps during the day, during learning time. But it's the things that I want to delegate out and I don't want to teach specifically all the time. And if there's a really great app for it, I mean, it's just, to me, like perfect.
Yep.
The perfect marriage of of me not wanting to do it and the app doing a great job of it. So, so we do some learning. We do some spelling things and math things on iPads. And yeah. So I don't know if I have a limit necessarily, except that they just have to, there are things that I have them do.
Yep.
For learning. But anyway.
And then do they play any like video games outside of that time? Do you have like
not really. I think during that screen time, the free screen time,
Yep.
an hour or whatever it is, that's when they can do a video game.
Oh, right. Right.
Or right. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, sometimes in the evenings when my husband comes home,
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, let's watch this video together," or something.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I mean, and they're often very short. Like, I want
Yeah.
to play this episode of something. So, and I think that is really great because it's just that's like family time. So
Yeah, they're connecting with him.
it's connecting time. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, how about you?
Well, I was asking about the video games just because my son is begging for an Xbox. I mean, he is just
right.
It's like all he can talk about,
Oh, wow.
and we don't have one.
Yeah. Right.
So he's offering to pay for it and work for it or whatever. And
Wow.
our hesitation is not anything except we would have to manage it.
Exactly.
It's a thing to manage and to put limits around.
Right.
And we don't want another thing.
Right.
So,
right.
So we don't have like a gaming system right now. I'm not opposed to it, but we don't have one.
Right.
Um,
I'll just add we don't have an Xbox either, except that we have an Apple TV.
Yep.
Which has apps on it to
Yeah.
watch things on your TV. And we have game controllers with that.
Yeah.
And I think they're just like the Xbox. I don't really know anything about this. My husband does. They're just like the Xbox ones.
Okay.
But the thing is, they don't have like as many games as
Oh.
as Xbox. Like you can't get as many games.
Yeah.
So it's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
There
So-
are, some games, but they're not.
So it's not that appealing. They
it's
don't want to
not
play with
super
it.
appealing.
all the
Right.
time.
It's
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, it's fine once in a while, but
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad they don't have like a super fun taste in their mouth about video games.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have, I mentioned this on last week's show when we talked,
Mhm.
when I talked to Georgia, but we have 2 family iPads
Yes.
and I have 3 kids, so that doesn't work out very well, but, they use those for learning. Kind of like you said, we have some school things
Mhm.
that they do on those.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, it can be tempting to just go over to something else. So you're right. I am around when they're doing those. We also have, a computer, so they can use that for school type stuff too.
Mhm.
And then our current system is it's not that great. We have 1 hour a week. So on Sundays, they get 1 hour each.
Yeah.
And they can use that right away or they can save it. Well, they always use it right away. And it started off being that we just called it Minecraft time because they wanted to play Minecraft. So we let them do that for 1 hour. And then we started letting them earn more time.
Mhm.
And so now they can earn more time by reading.
Yeah. Great.
So everybody, it's too much to manage. Something's got to change. Everybody has
Oh.
their own amount of time. Like I read this much, and so I have this much time, and I have this much
Oh,
time. I got to
yeah.
use it. And I kind of feel like it would be just easier to do what you're doing and just do like a little bit of time every day
Yeah.
rather than trying to have to figure this out. But I also do like for my reluctant reader that he is really motivated
Yeah.
by reading for screen time. And so I do want
Yeah.
to keep that up.
Well, can you and this is what we do is when things are done on the list. Well, usually there's a set time for our screen time. It's
Okay.
like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yep.
2 to 3 or something. But that's on, on the basis that all of our work is done.
Yep.
So on the board, it's, reading and each kid has like an amount of minutes to read.
Oh,
so
okay.
that has to get done.
So you're requiring that anyway.
Reading has to happen before
Mhm.
that screen time.
I mean, I could do that. I need to
So-
rethink this.
I know, but what I would do is, well, not have to manage it, but however many minutes you read is however many minutes you get screen time.
Right.
But I don't want to manage that.
I know.
I'm not doing
managing that right now. And I have just a couple kids who are really honest, and then I have a couple. I'm just saying a couple for both. And then I have
Yeah.
a couple kids who are not very honest.
that. Yeah.
So it's not going very well. I need to
That's
figure something out.
tough. It's so tough.
I know. And yeah. And I also see with some of my kids when they do it too much that they, like I said, they're grouchy or zoned out or tired or all these things. And so I want to avoid that. So anyway.
Yeah, I know. I get it. I know. In conclusion, this is tough, everyone.
This is tough.
Oh my goodness.
It's a tough decisions to make. So give yourself credit. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't feel guilty if your kid is on the iPad during the day. Our kids are, so we just told you that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And I think it's okay to do this is just me. I'm no expert. I think it's okay to have screen time for you to get a break.
Oh,
Parents need
yes.
breaks.
Yes, definitely. Do not feel guilty about that.
No.
And don't feel guilty if you're holding off either. I mean,
no.
if you're like not letting your kids have screen time or not buying a device or whatever because you think it might be the best for your kid, good for you. I think that's so awesome. You know your kid well and you know your family well, and do not be influenced negatively by other people who are telling you what they do and what they think is best.
We really just wanted to share what we do because it's different. We do different things.
Yep.
And we wanted to be real about it.
Yep.
That is not what we do, is not what we think everyone else should do.
Oh, no.
No, not at all. So every single one of us could come on here and say what we do, and it would be different. And
it would be great. I feel like I know people who don't do any screen time, and I know people who do unlimited, and I respect it all because I get it. I understand all viewpoints, and I think it's a tough decision, and so we're just doing our best to navigate those waters.
Right, and we want to navigate it together and not in isolation so that we feel like we're doing it the wrong way.
It's okay to do whatever you feel is right for your family and your kids.
Right. And
no guilt.
No shame.
Yep. All right. Got that off our chest.
All right. Should we move on to loving this week?
Yes.
All right, Angela, what are you loving this week?
I got some new dining room chairs.
Ooh,
that I am loving.
Yes, I saw those.
Did you see them? You did. Okay.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Yeah, I wouldn't say beautiful. They're not like.
They're not elegant.
They're not elegant.
I would say they're not fancy.
When you said beautiful, I was like, it wasn't the word. I guess. Yes.
Oh, they're beautiful to me. They're like my style. So
okay. So they're from Wayfair, and they're Brook Modern Solid Wood Dining Chair. They're not solid wood. I don't know why it's called solid wood in the title.
Can't say that.
No, the legs are solid wood, but then the body of it is like plastic molded. Mm-hmm. Right? Is that what you'd call it?
Yeah, I think so. Sure.
And so when we ordered these, I was debating about the colors because I kind of wanted like lots of different colors.
You needed color, right?
I needed color. That. You know, our house is like neutral.
Yeah.
The whole thing's neutral. We needed to add some color.
Yeah, your plan was to get colorful accents.
Yeah. Right? And I really wanted colorful dining room chairs. And Jeremy was just having a hard time with it.
Yeah.
Finally, I won. So,
okay.
Just so you know.
Yeah, I love them. So they're red.
So I have red, orange, and blue. And I was just like, you know what? If I don't like these, I can sell them or get rid of them somehow. Yeah. But we're going to try it. So, yeah, I got 3 different colors, and I love them. And they weren't that expensive. They're kind of inexpensive chairs.
That's so great.
And I like that they're plastic because you can wipe them down. And they don't chip. Our old ones were wood. They chipped.
Yeah.
And then we had some with, like, the padded fabric.
Those are hard to clean.
With kids.
Yeah.
So I like that these are really easy to clean, and they look colorful.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So
exciting.
How about you, Maren? What are you loving this week?
I am loving the store Athleta. I call it Athleta. I think some people call it Athleta.
It's a debate.
Yes, it is. I'm loving them because they have just become a B corporation.
Oh. What does that mean?
Which means, okay, so I'm just going to read this right off their website so I get it right.
Yep.
B Corps meet the highest standard of verified social and environmental performance, public transparency, and legal accountability, and aspire to use the power of markets to solve social and environmental problems.
Wow.
I know.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I've always liked Athleta, but now I like them even more.
So what do you get there? I know it's like exercise clothes, right?
I get my athleisure there. my clothes that I think I'm going to work out in, but I don't always. No, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's just activewear. Like I feel like I can wear it all day and it's comfortable and I can run around in it.
Yeah.
And it looks good, I think.
Yeah. I have my 2 favorite pair of yoga pants are from there. And I bet I got them, I'm guessing 4 years ago. And
Yes,
they're
yeah.
still in good shape. I was thinking, should I
Yes.
get a new pair? Because I've had these for so long, but these are still
Well,
good.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the thing. So they are part of the Gap and Old Navy
Okay.
companies. So this is just, I mean, I think they're just higher end clothes.
Oh, okay.
Clothes than like, Old Navy workout clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll probably just last longer. I have hardly anything from Athleta because it is expensive. So I just have a few solid pieces.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So now
I-
it does make me want to spend more money there though.
And so so does this mean like their clothes are ethically made?
Yes.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Another company that has done this has always been like this is Patagonia.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. So
And Patagonia is even probably, I mean, they're more than Patagonia was your loving this week a long time ago.
my Patagonia sweater, yes.
Oh, your Patagonia sweater. Yes.
That
Yeah.
I wear every day of winter. Yep.
Yeah. Because they will even like fix your clothes for you.
They will. Yes.
They'll-
For your life, it's like lifetime
guarantee on the clothes.
guarantee. Yeah.
But they're so expensive that
yeah, I know.
it's hard. You can't buy a lot of it.
Right. Exactly. Just a few key things on
Okay.
sale.
That makes me want to go look up Athleta. Well, thank you everybody for listening to our show. We appreciate it so much. We would love to connect with you on social media. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Homeschool Unrefined. We do have a Facebook group called Unrefined Homeschoolers where we can chat about homeschool things or anything else you want to chat about. And we have a website, homeschoolunrefined.com, where you can find links to everything that we talked about. So we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Homeschool Unrefined was created by Maren Gorse and Angela Sizer. Thanks to Gambler's Daughter for providing the music for our show. You can find Gambler's Daughter at facebook.com/gamblersdaugghtermusic.